Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while and we're now in 2024 and I thought it was a nice opportunity to give some of my top tips for maintaining and improving one's sense of one's wellness, be it mental and physical, and it's really related. These tips are related to meditation and mindfulness, which is my current kind of interest and what I want to share at the moment. To me, it seems like they play such an important role, or they have done in my life. I've really felt so much better since I've discovered more and more about mindfulness and meditation, and that's what I want to share. So, what am I going to talk about? So, the first point that I wanted to share, my first tip, is in short, would be to slow down. Would be to slow down what you're doing and savor the moment. Now I know that's kind of a cliche, but I really think it's true. So especially as we're coming into, you know, time of New Year's resolutions and wanting to set goals and make changes, I think it's from my own experience, I can often, if I have, say, like a to-do list or goals that I'm trying to achieve, so often I can fall into a trap of kind of getting too obsessed with kind of getting to the end, to actually getting to that final destination, and everything in between me getting there, getting to that point can just become like a means to an end, and I'm not really present. I'm just thinking about the future. So just kind of a reminder to, it is about the journey really. And from my experience, if once you get to that future, you might get a slight bit of satisfaction, but it's only very temporary before something else comes in and you want to achieve something new. And from my experience, at least, it's often, I'm feeling like there are problems that need solving, and, I might solve a problem and I feel like, I've done it, I've solved the problem, but then another one comes, and really, even if I try and live more efficiently to solve more problems in a day, it's always just more problems and more things coming up, and no amount of efficiency really, no amount of me trying to tackle more problems is actually making my life any better. Actually, the opposite is true, and actually I feel most at peace when I'm slowing down and actually savouring the small things in life, tasting the food that I'm eating, drink the water I'm drinking, or maybe it's coffee or tea, just actually being more present and connecting with my body and those who are around me. So that was the first point. The second point that I wanted to make is to connect with your emotions more. This is something that I've not done, to be honest, and I've really noticed since I've become more conscious of connecting to my emotions, mainly the negative ones, I can often feel a lot better, basically. So I myself suffer from headaches. If I'm going to be sick, go get ill of in any way, it will usually be a headache, some sort of tension in my neck and shoulders. Usually from stress. If I'm kind of, again, maybe like I mentioned in that first point, if I'm really maximizing, trying to do everything in one day or just push myself to the limit, and I'm not really slowing down, I usually end up with a headache by the end of the day. And yeah, what I've also found is a big link, as well as slowing down, but I think it really does tie in, is to, again, like I said, connect to the emotions, because usually when I'm doing something that's challenging, when I'm encountering a challenging situation, maybe I'll have an argument with somebody, or I'm, stressed or feeling anxious about something I'm doing at work. Often what I'll do is try and push those feelings away, not actually kind of feel them. I'll push them away, often through some sort of addictive habit, like going on my phone or eating something sugary or watching a video on my phone, something like that. Just anything to kind of, playing games on my phone, anything to kind of distract myself. And, there's multiple ways that we can do that. But I've really found, especially in the last couple of weeks, like when I'm feeling out of balance and I catch myself quick enough, if I can usually just sit and just feel the emotion. It's not pleasant, obviously, to feel the negative feeling, but I'll tell you what, if we don't, really what you resist persists, and this is what gets stored on the body as sort of emotional, as stress, basically. And actually, if you can just be present and just feel the emotion for what it is, actually, it's not so scary. It's more the thought of it is scarier than the actual thing. So does take courage, obviously, but from my experience, it's always better to go through it than try and resist it. So that was my second point, to really connect with the feelings. And just again, it's about bringing presence into the day to day, and really trying to notice a bit more regularly how we're feeling. Third thing that I wanted to mention is, again, related to the second point of stress in the body, tension, is to, I've used this usually if I do, have finished the day and I've got a headache or I'm feeling tense and just, out of balance. The kind of a hack that I've found that really does sort me out and usually gets me into a much better state of being physically and mentally is to do some sort of body work, to actually connect with the body and bring the attention from the mind, where we're so often just stressed and conceptualizing all the future and worrying about the past. Bring the attention from there down to the body. So yeah, usually any kind of form of exercise can do this, because often we've got excess energy that we can just simply burn off through doing some exercise. And usually getting started is the hardest thing, but once you get going and the mind is making all these excuses why you shouldn't bother, once you get through that and do it, I've almost always felt better. But yeah, so if you have a favorite form of exercise, that can obviously be good. For me personally, I found yoga is an excellent thing that you can just do in your home. You just need a yoga mat, and you're on YouTube now, so you just go onto YouTube and you can find an infinite number of yoga teachers who are really good that do beginner friendly yoga for any length of time, from 5 minutes to an hour. Even doing 15 minutes or so is, for me, it helps really much. I'm not flexible at all. I'm really bad at yoga, but it's not really about doing the stretches well, just about connecting to the body and bringing that attention, as I said, from the head to the body. And it just, for me, does such wonders. Other options can be the Qigong, which is again a very similar to yoga. They definitely share a lot of principles, but it's from the Chinese tradition. It's similar to Tai Chi. So it's again moving energy in the body, doing certain exercises. You can even do breath work. So doing deep breathing, just lying down. You can, if you probably put into YouTube search or Google, there's different teachers that you can do some deep breathing, and that just brings oxygen into yourself. So often we're breathing so shallowly, and if we can consciously breathe, even a couple of minutes, it helps. And yeah, sometimes I have got into this recently. I may make a video about it, but I've also got into cold showers, which is another way, which literally, all of your problems disappear when you're in a cold shower. I can say that. You're just it completely immerses you, and you're completely in contact with your body, and you get all sorts of happy chemicals being released as a result of going through the stress. So that could be something to explore as well. Even just putting on the cold shower for 10 seconds after you finished a hot shower can help. But you can obviously build up the amount. So different ways, and just pick one that's sustainable and that you think would help. And usually I do it when shit hits the fan, proverbially when I'm not feeling that great. But I think ideally it's good to do it preventively and actually get into a habit of doing it, say, daily or, regularly, so that actually your body's you're more in the body than in the mind. And number four, we are now, yes, what was I going to say for number four? This has really helped me in the last year to kind of just keep me in a kind of a positive and inspired headspace. So often if we're just going through our day, we have so much input that is out of our control, be it like advertising that we see, the news that we might read, different people that interact with us, that, if we're not careful, you can sometimes get put into a negative headspace, basically. And my advice for that would be to every day either read or listen to something that's inspiring, that can lift your kind of state of consciousness up to a more peaceful, something that's inspiring, basically, that makes you hopeful and see the good in the world and in people and the potential for us as a species. So, maybe if something original already comes to mind, maybe as a teacher or, spiritual tradition that you're interested in. For me, myself, I've been reading Eckhart Tolle, who's a pretty famous spiritual teacher from Germany originally, and he's got two books, which I read both of them. I think they're really just very helpful, again, to elevate my consciousness, basically, and center myself back into an inspired state. And the books are called A New Earth and The Power of Now. So yeah, the power of now, like, it's all about that. The trick is in the name. It's all about trying to be in the present moment. And if you're really interested, if you're kind of new to looking into this sort of thing, I highly recommend picking up one of those books. And The Power of Now was his first one. So if you're newer to kind of meditation and mindfulness, probably would start with that one. But either of them are brilliant. I thought I'd also, just to illustrate this point, I've got the New Earth here, which I keep on my bedside table, or I might even listen to. He's got, there are podcasts out with him, which I'll sometimes listen to if I can't read, I don't have time to read or whatever. So I thought I'd just also share a little reading, just to sort of paint the picture, in case you've never, this is all very foreign to you. So this is part of this is in the middle of a chapter, but it's just he has different sort of spiritual stories that he tells. So this one is called Carrying the Past. The inability, or rather unwillingness, of the human mind to let go of the past is beautifully illustrated in the story of two Zen monks, Tanzen and Ekaido, who were walking along a country road that had become extremely muddy after heavy rains. Near a village, they came upon a young woman, who was trying to cross the road, but the mud was so deep that it would have ruined the silk kimono that she was wearing. Tanzen at once picked her up and carried her to the other side. The monks walked on in silence. 5 hours later, as they were approaching the lodging temple, Ikaido couldn't restrain himself any longer. "Why did you carry that girl across the road?" he asked. "We monks are not supposed to do things like that." "I put the girl down hours ago," said Tanzen. "Are you still carrying her?" Now imagine what life would be like for someone who lived like Ikaido all the time, unable or unwilling to let go internally of situations, accumulating more and more stuff inside, and you get a sense of what life is like for the majority of people on our planet, what a heavy burden of past they carry around with them in their minds. So, yeah, that was just an example of a section of the book, and he obviously goes on to discuss, how we can lose that burden of stuff in our minds, how we can become more present, and there's so much wisdom in it. And I only just read like a page a day, and yeah, can't recommend it enough, really. Yeah. And the final point that I wanted to make, again in line with many of these other points, is something that I've again found really helpful, to daily or at least regularly to sit down even just for 5 or 10 minutes, and do a meditation, just to sit and do nothing with the eyes closed, watching the breath, just for 5 minutes. Just set a timer. There's different apps that you can download as well, which are free, with Insight Timer being one of them. You can even have guided, free guided meditations, but it doesn't have to be anything complicated. It's really simple in its essence. And just sit with the breath. Just observe the breath as it's coming and going. And no doubt, within a few seconds, thoughts will come in. Thoughts will come in about whatever. Doesn't matter what the thought is. But the key is simply, when you notice the thought, is to bring your attention back to the breath, because your attention was on the breath and then it went to the mind, went to the thoughts. And if you bring it back to the breath, then you've already mastered meditation. That is really what it is in its essence. I know so many people would say, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm not very good at it. I keep thinking." Well, actually, yeah, we all think, and the idea is that when you as you do it more, you'll begin to catch yourself thinking when you're thinking, and then you can bring the attention back. And actually, a lot of people might beat themselves up. I know I used to do this when I started. Oh, I can't believe I'm thinking so much. And if you've had a hard day at work or whatever, there's so many thoughts, and it can be relentless at times. But actually, it's not a failure to be thinking when you're meditating. In fact, if you're noticing yourself thinking, that's actually a success, and that's something to be kind of pleased with. That's really the idea of meditation, because as we do it more, and as you all that you're doing is, when you're becoming aware of your thoughts, you're noticing the space around the thoughts. You're not being completely run by the mind. You're able to kind of actually see that these thoughts, they're not you. You are the awareness behind the thoughts. So yeah, 5 minutes or however long. But for me, personally, I'm just recommending it because I found it is again helpful for kind of centering myself and staying present. And this staying present, I think, is so important, and has been key to me feeling healthy and having positive well-being. It's not all the time, obviously, but I've seen a definite correlation between my state of being and my health. I think they're so intertwined, and maybe you see so too. So yeah, that is it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.